Hi, today we are focusing on statistic as the first part of a statistic. In previous video, we introduced what are the two major parts in a statistic. Okay, let's make a definition for the descriptive statistic. Describe data using measures of central tendency and dispersion. Basically, we are using these two, but we can consider about some another components also. We can see what are those in next slide. Actually, by using these things, we can explain the individual data values as well as the group data. So nowadays, the technology is somewhat leading faster than the manual calculation. So we can use computers to visually represent the data. And we can use the coefficient of correlation also to measure the association between some quantity. Okay, then the central and the spread about the dispersion. So more than that, we can consider about the shape also that has described in here. When we gather data, we want to uncover the information in it. One easy way to do that is to think of shape, center and spread. What is the shape of a histogram? According to that, we can say that are there any bias. That means we can use the skewness concept in there. What are the kurtoses in that curve? Likewise, we can explain. Then under the center, what is the mean or median? Likewise, some summary statistic we can use. Spread. What is the range or standard deviation? By using these two components, we can say the variables. What is the range it has been varied. Okay. Descriptive analysis of quantitative data. When we consider about the quantitative data, this is the summary about the descriptive statistical technique we have. In the first round, you can see you can use tables, graphs and numbers. So under the tables, you can use frequency distribution, stem and leaf plot, histograms, bar charts, some pie charts. Likewise, take box plots under the tables. So under the graphs, under the frequency distribution, we can use all the things, but under the table, it's only available the stem and leaf plot and some summary tables. So other things, box scan, whisker plot and histogram, pie chart, those are coming under the graphs. Don't mismatch, but those all things are frequency distribution. Then the numbers: center, mean, median, mode, geometric mean, harmonical mean, trimmed mean. The important points: median, kurtosis, divisions and percentiles. You can, if you are not interested in this, you can ignore. If you are interested, you can self-study these things. The variation. How do we capture the variation? By estimating the range, interquartile range, and variation and standard deviation. So the skewness and kurtosis explain about the distribution. Under the probability, we can teach about more distribution types under the descriptive under the discrete and continuous. So at that time you can learn more. Okay, what mean by a frequency distribution? After collecting data, the first task for a researcher is to organize and simplify the data so that it is possible to get a general overview of the results. So that mean by the frequency distribution. This is the goal of descriptive statistical technique. Actually, why we are using descriptive statistic? To make about a summary or to simplify what are the characteristics of that variable. Then that data say about what? Why we are using the descriptive statistic. One method for simplification and organization data is to construct a frequency distribution. Then central tendency. I already told you what are the components coming under central tendency: mean, median and mode. This is the method of calculating the average of set of data. Okay, let's see how to calculate the average of data. We can take the summation of all values, then we can divide it by the amount of observation under that component. So then we are having the mean. Then median, we have to rearrange the variable into descending or ascending order. Then we can use the equation n plus 1 divided by 2. Then with that amount we can calculate, start from any end, from the beginning or end. Then the amount we have under the n plus 1 divided by 2 equation, that is the observation of median. Then mode. Mode is what? Mode is the most occurrence observation in the variable. Most occurrence weight or component. That is the way of getting mode. So now you know how to calculate mean, median and mode. So if you can do these three, that is about the central tendency of that distribution. This is the method of calculating the average of set of data. The average represents the center of the distribution, and these type of a statistic are descriptive, which means they seeks to summarize the data. The three common methods of finding the average are mean, median. Okay, here it's about some variable set. Now you can try it. Then you can find the average of these three columns. What you should do, you can gather these all and divided by how many observations are here. There are 7 in the first column. In second and third, there are 8 observations under each column. So you can take the summation of these all and divided by the amount. Then the median. Then you have to arrange it into ascending or descending order. After that, you can take the n plus 1 divided by 2 equation. So if you are taking this one, 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the fourth observation, if you are making that into ascending order, 0, 2, 3, 5, again 5, 7, and before 0 it should become the minus 1. Then what is the fourth one? Minus 1, 0, 2, 3. So 3 is the median. Okay, it's okay. It has come. Then the mode. Mode is what? Most occurrence observation. The 5 has occurred twice. Others are in once. So 5 in twice. So 5 is the mode. Likewise, you can do the things in here also. But here you are having a special case. There are 8 observations. If you take the n plus 1 divided by 2 equation into here, 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 divided by 2 is 4.4. Then that is coming a middle point. You should rearrange it into ascending order. Anyway, the 4.5 is somewhat in between value. So what you should do, you can add the 2 points coming as the 4 and 5th. Then you can divide it by 2. Then that is the median. Okay, the mode you can take. Likewise, you can cover these all. Okay, dispersion. Dispersion described by the range. Good. I explained these components. Okay, let's go through this slide. The mean summarizes the center of the distribution, but on its own it may not be information enough. It is often used to show how far figures differ from the average. This measure is known as dispersion. In here, what we are saying how far figures from the average. Don't forget that term, from the average. We are saying how far figures differ from the average. That means by the dispersion. Method of showing dispersion: range, the interquartile ranges, and standard deviation. When we are using the higher statistical estimation, standard deviation is somewhat advanced and useful tool. In your exam, you will only have a calculation, the range. Then if you are having this kind of, if you are following this kind of a course, you are having only calculation, but you should understand what the theoretical or what is the thing coming under that. Okay, range. The difference between the lowest and highest value in the data set. Calculate the range for channel depth in centimeter in this range. Then how do we take the, we should have the highest value and lowest value. It's already in the descending order. So 45 is the highest one and 1 is the lowest one. So we can take the range as highest minus lowest. It's 44. Then advantages. What are the advantages of dispersion measures? Easy to calculate. Show the spread of data. When used with the mean, it shows that distribution of values around the mean is statistically more useful. as well as every huge work has the limitations. There are some limitations in here also. Depends on only two values and ignore the rest. The particular problem if stream values are optically. The range tend to increase as the sample size increase. Okay. The purpose of measuring dispersion. A measure of dispersion appear to serve two purposes. First is it is one of the most important quantity used to characterize the frequency distribution. Second, it offered a basic of comparison between two or more frequency distribution. The study of dispersion where its importance from the fact that various dispersions may have exactly the same averages but substantial differences in their weight. This is the way of calculating these things. If we are calculating the standard deviation for the sample, we can use this is range we have already done. So I will not waste time to explain that one. So what we should do, we are taking the sample mean and we are taking the deviation from each component from the mean, and finally we take the square value of that and we divide it from the n minus 1. N is the amount of observation in the sample and finally we are taking the square root of that one. Then standard deviation for the population. Here we are taking the population mean. Then the variance for sample. Actually, after we are taking the square root value, it's about the standard deviation. So without that component, it's the variation. Summary definition. The measure of dispersion show how the data is spread or scattered around the mean. Don't forget that part. The measure of location or central tendency is the center value that the data value grouped around. It gives an average value. The measure of skewness is how symmetrical the distribution of data. This is the end of today's video. So you can have an idea how do we describe the variable using central tendency measures and dispersion measures. More than that, you can consider about the shape also. So under that shape, you can use the terms of skewnesses and kurtosis, but most probably we are using those things coming with the most higher statistical techniques. So at that part we can see about that, but as the basic steps you can